Hey everybody, BlackNinja797 here, and welcome to the Q&A video. I'm very much looking forward to answering all the questions that you guys had submitted my way. And if you didn't have an opportunity to leave a question in time for the Q&A video, I invite you now to end up leaving a comment down below underneath of this video, and I will end up answering your guys' additional questions or questions in general later on in the future. Do you have an interest or a hobby outside of video games that you would like to make a video series on? Yes, actually. I would very much like to end up making more IRL videos again, and more specifically, IRL videos that are within the realm of skits or short stories. I remember that some of my earliest YouTube videos were basically like IRL short stories, whether that be the old Nerf gun videos I did that are no longer public on my channel, to the Strange TV skits that are still, funnily enough, on my channel. And then the most recent example of basically doing a short story was the 3K special I did about 3 to 4 years ago now, which was called Invasion, where you could pick a end card and it would lead to a different unlisted video, and eventually, after your decisions, could give you a random ending. I would very much love to do more of those again. Now, those videos could end up being anywhere between, like, let's say, a few weeks to a few months to create, depending on how good of quality I'm trying to aim for. If it's more of a short story, I feel like I can get away with it being like a few weeks to a few months, but I remember that when I was making Invasion, that there was a lot of stuff that I was not expecting that caused setbacks by like months at a time. And I remember that what I thought was going to take me only a few months took me about like a year and 3 or 4 months. So I would have to take that into account depending on what it is that I'm trying to do. I feel like I would know better this time going into it about what to expect and what to do, but I still very much would like to try to end up doing them regardless of whether or not it takes me forever or not, because short stories or like skit videos are one of my favorite things besides video games. I remember that before I was trying to be a YouTuber, that I was going to try to go for Hollywood and be an actor, and a part of me still kind of is thinking about that in the back of my mind, because I've noticed that YouTubers are now pivoting to Hollywood, which was something I was totally not expecting. I thought those were going to be like separate things forever, but it seems like that now that they're able to be done in tandem. I don't necessarily know if one day I might dabble in acting, but at least as things stand right now, I'm going to stick with like doing stuff on my own terms in the YouTube realm, but I might dabble into, like, let's say, more bigger projects eventually in the future. And I feel like one of the ways that I can test the grounds to see if whether or not that they'll still resonate with me is by making my own short stories. I would very much like to do another one like Invasion again, where you guys can pick a different ending depending on the end cards you chose. And for that one, I feel like that I would probably do something different than having it be based off of like a direct sequel of Invasion. I feel like I would want it to be its own new story, and not necessarily a continuation of the one I had already done. So I don't necessarily know what story I would create, but I got a couple of them brewing in the back of my mind. I'm curious to see if whether or not that's something that excites you guys. I'm sure someone has asked you this before, but if you were to become a special infected, which one would you want to become? Here's the thing, is that if we're talking about want to become, I really don't want to become any of them, because with the Left 4 Dead Green Flu, you're very much aware of what's happening to you, and I want to be something that can be killed quickly. As much as that doesn't sound necessarily like the popular answer, I probably would pick something like, let's say, Uncommon Infected, or like the Boomer, just so I can hopefully just immediately die, because I very much do not want to just stay alive in that state, or stay pseudo-alive in that state where I'm aware of what's happened to me. I don't want to be like a tank and like go around killing people and being like not able to control myself. That would just suck. If I had to pick something that was cool, I guess the more flashy answer would probably be the Hunter, but I'm just thinking more realistically. I want to know your overall thoughts on the Black Ops campaigns. I myself have grown attached to the characters of Mason and Woods. In terms of the Black Ops campaigns, I very much resonate with Black Ops 1. I think that that's probably my favorite Black Ops campaign I have played. Black Ops 2, though, is definitely a close second. I do like how in Black Ops 2 they tried to branch and have multiple endings. I thought that that was pretty cool, actually, because I don't think that that really ever came back until, like, I think Cold War, if I'm not mistaken, but correct me if I'm wrong. But Black Ops 3, that campaign was bad, that was weird. It had dumb moments, the continuity was hard to follow. and there was just dumb dialogue with things like Train Go Boom. Black Ops 4 didn't even have a campaign. That's how little I would really care about the Black Ops story, like past Black Ops 3. Cold War and Black Ops 6, I haven't had an opportunity to play their campaigns, nor Black Ops 7, so I don't know what happens within those. And then, since you asked about Black Ops, I don't necessarily think World at War would be a valid thing to bring up, but I'm going to bring it up anyways because the campaigns are pretty much connected. There's a lot of World at War stuff that gets referenced in the later Black Ops games. I would say that World at War is definitely another one of my favorites, but my favorite one is definitely Black Ops 1, and I loved Black Ops 2 as well, but post those games, I really could care less. I really much enjoyed the characters of Woods. I enjoyed Mason. I enjoyed even Alex's son, David Mason. Characters like Hudson were also cool. What do the numbers mean, Mason? But I don't really like the modern Black Ops games in terms of their campaigns because they just seem more hokey and censored in a way. I mean, I'm not going to get into the censorship thing with like censoring like real life events because Black Ops is supposed to end up being like a fictional interpretation of war. It's not supposed to be meant to be literal anymore. It's more like cinematic at this point. But when the games were more serious and grounded, I definitely enjoyed those stories more. I feel like Modern Warfare is a little bit better with their campaigns in terms of being more grounded and realistic. And in the sense of campaigns, I enjoy those more. Fantasy is really only something that I enjoy in the multiplayer or in the zombies mode especially. But if I want my campaigns to be good, I usually will lean on the side of realism. What type of Left 4 Dead 2 content you make is your favorite, excluding reacting to the Steam Workshop and custom map playthroughs, etc.? My favorite type of videos to make on Left 4 Dead besides those? So that would basically mean that I'm trying to avoid mods at that point, because I would say that really, I think what you're asking me is what's my favorite thing to do that involves the vanilla game? So how about this? Why don't I end up answering both? Since you're really only excluding, it looks like, Steam Workshop reactions and custom maps, I'll give you one I feel like is more related to the vanilla part of the game, and then one that can be interpreted as something that is still technically like a mod or something, but it's not those two things specifically. My favorite type of vanilla contents to make for the game, really at this point, is like discovering tutorial-like videos that I can make, whether that was the old myth-busting videos back when that was still around, or like making a tutorial when there was something to learn about like the game being new in regards to something like, let's say, the Last Stand update like 5 years ago when that came out. If I can learn something new and I can make like a tutorial and like get better at that, those are the types of videos that I enjoy a lot. I very much like refining my craft and figuring out how I can like get better stats, a better playthrough experience. I very much enjoy making my game feel alive, and I feel like that one of the reasons why I'm sort of pivoting it away from Left 4 Dead now is because there's really nothing left I can do without content, unless it's from something like, let's say, the Steam Workshop, because the base game I don't think is going to get an update at this point, or at least not one worth holding out for anymore. In terms of vanilla, that's, I would say, what my answer would be. But if it's about like mods or like something that I can do that's fan-driven, I love making curse mod videos. Those are definitely something that I feel like hits the spot. I can make those in like a half an hour to an hour, and I can end up making some really funny videos out of those because you never know what you're going to find. Sometimes I will find mods that are absolutely hysterical, and I love just showcasing how stupid they are. Do you have a favorite workshop mod? If so, what is it? I would say that, honestly, as much as it sounds like a masochistic thing, I feel like I've become fond of the difficulty mods because the difficulty mods give me something to prove, and you guys enjoy them. It gives me an excuse to make like a very long-term video project that I really haven't had the opportunity to do in a while. These videos, I enjoy kind of how long that they take, because by the time that they're all said and done, they're like mini movies because they've been pushing like an hour now. And I don't make videos like that at all. Like, I don't make videos that go beyond, like, normally, like, 10 or 15 minutes. And to make an hour-long video, that's a big deal to me, and that requires a lot of editing. In a weird way, as much as it's exhausting, it's fun once it's done, because then I can show the buildup of, like, all the insanity that had taken place. So probably it's the difficulty mods. What is your favorite myth from your Left 4 Dead 2 Myth Busting Mondays series. My favorite myth ends up being the "can you have a tank rocket ride" myth, where basically you shoot a grenade launcher underneath the tank at their feet, and it's confirmed because they end up going flying into the air, and that's just a sight to behold to see the tank just shoot up like hundreds of feet into the sky. That is something that I was shocked in the moment that it happened, because I was totally not expecting that to be confirmed, and to be proven wrong in the moment was actually insane. And that was when I had like a lot of my friends all still like starting to come in and help me out with the series, and I feel like that was around like the very beginning of when like, hey, this is starting to like catch on, and this is like becoming my most popular series because we're finding weird things like this, even though the game is like 15 years old at this point. What is your favorite Minecraft update? Minecraft-wise, I probably would say my favorite update, even though this sounds weird, because I quit the game around this time, was probably Caves and Cliffs Part 2, because in the long term, it added in two things that I very much enjoy about modern Minecraft that since then have been something that I always strive to try to have in my play sessions, which is one, the warden being introduced, because I don't know what it is, but I like fighting him because I know you're not supposed to, and that challenge and the intimidation factor of how he could just basically annihilate you is really fun to me. I like the idea of playing chicken with that boss, and then the fact that the cave system just got revamped so that way they're gigantic and it avoids you having to strip mine makes exploring the caves just more fun to me. I never really liked mining in Minecraft, believe it or not. I always would like to go above the ground, because the above the ground was like, oh wow, look at this giant landscape that I can walk around and see all these cool things, and the caves were just really boring and very block to me until they got gigantic, and I'm like, oh my god, like look at these ravines, or like look at the deep dark biome, or look at just this giant cave that has tons of monsters in it and I feel like I'm surrounded. Like, those were the things I liked about Caves and Cliffs Part 2. Unfortunately, I really didn't get to play it in its peak because I took a break from Minecraft around then, but it was actually an update that I was looking forward to playing when I eventually did come back. I'm really into music, so I'm actually pretty interested to know what kind of music do you like, favorite genre? Yeah, so I would say that I have probably like 3 types of music that I very much love, and that's going to end up being like light rock and roll, because I know someone's going to say that, like, that's not metal, but like anywhere between like light rock and roll to metal, from like the early, I would say like 80s all the way up to like the early 2000s especially is my favorite, but I pretty much will like anything of rock and roll. And then I would say smooth jazz is another one of my favorites, because smooth jazz is something that is very much the opposite, but it's still also very much a favorite genre of mine because there's a lot of creativity in jazz. A lot of it is ad-libbed, believe it or not, which I didn't really know, and it's just relaxing to me and helps me de-stress. And I probably would say like my third favorite is probably going to end up being more of like a hip-hop, kind of like rap. Now, I'm not talking about being like drugs and women and like that type of rap, but like I'm talking about more like the rap that kind of has like a beat where I'm like, okay, I can snap my finger, tap my foot, dance maybe a little bit. I want to be able to have it where I can like get in a club and I can actually like break it down and like get excited and hyped, and those like rap or like hip hop types of genre songs. But yeah, definitely like rock and roll is my absolute favorite genre of music, and then jazz and like rap / R&B or hip hop is definitely within the top 2 or 3. Would you rather have a Left 4 Dead 3 or a new COD Zombies game that invokes the peak nostalgia and gameplay of earlier eras, BO1 to 3, perfectly with modern graphics? Now, see, here's the thing, is that are we specifically talking about COD in the sense that it's just going to be another COD game for like 1 year type of deal? Because if it's just going to be around for like 1 year, as much as I would love to have that right now, I really would have to go with a Left 4 Dead 3 because I know that the Valve would take care of it. The best I can expect from a Black Ops 4.5.6. Whatever the hell now, whatever number they're on at this point, you know, within that like type of gameplay standpoint, I would say that it would need to end up being something that's around for more than just 1 year. If you from 6 years ago saw you today, how would he feel? And since 2020, John has not seen total overhaul Left 4 Dead 2 mod packs like Nightmare, and that you're taking a step back from Left 4 Dead, how would he feel? This is probably my favorite question for this Q&A video, because to think about like what it would be like to talk to me from 6 years ago is really fascinating to me, because I was in a weird way predicting my own future around the end of 2019. I made a video where I was like basically like looking back at my channel for like a 10-year anniversary type of deal. And around then, I was basically doing a coin flip about what I was going to do with my life for the next foreseeable few years. Because regardless of COVID, I had a lot of life events around that time that basically gave me the mindset of having a fire under my ass and being like, hey, you either use it or you lose it. I was not nearly as driven or as motivated or as skilled at YouTube with the prior 10 years that I had compared to the last 6 years that I have had since 2020. YouTube now, the way I look at it is that YouTube, it's not a fluke. When I was younger, any success that I had, I mentally considered as a fluke. I was like, okay, well, that's my one somewhat popular video for the next odd random amount of time, whether that be months or years. Time to hope that I get lucky with the next one. And now it doesn't really feel like luck anymore. I kind of have a rough idea of knowing what I'm doing. And that makes me more reassured that when I do eventually end up taking risks in uncharted territory, that I'll eventually figure out a way to like make it stick and work. And if it doesn't, I can always just go back to what is my old reliable. If I had it where the 2020 version of me had saw me now, he probably would be very proud. Like, dude, I was entirely shocked and just surprised when my YouTube channel started to take off around the pandemic, because I was not owed anything. I was just a person that was just using his free time and just happened to be right place, right time. And I got very much lucky, but the discipline is what allowed me to keep that momentum. I feel like a lot of people with YouTube think that it's luck, and it's not. But it's also not skill either. It's both. The luck and the determination go hand in hand, because you have to be determined to see it through until you get lucky, and then you have to be determined to see it through past the initial luck so you can keep your now new audience. And a lot of people don't really comprehend that. The 2020 version of me would probably be very much like elated to know that I finally figured out what worked for me and that I know what I'm doing. Where whether that be the editing style or the thumbnails or the types of content or just the games I pick, that's really cool to know. And I would say that when it comes to like the mod packs that I have played over the years, like things like Nightmare, and even some of the other mods I found over the years, he probably would also be like shocked in like a funny way about like, oh my god, you found something like that, because mods were really not a thing that I ever really did with my video games until the last like 6 years. I knew of them, but I didn't partake in them. I was always a console kid first and foremost, and PC gaming was not a thing for me until my YouTube channel started taking off. I would always just play my Xbox, and so mods were something I never experienced, and now that I use them, it feels weird to not use them. I feel like if a game doesn't have mods, the game suffers. I'm so reliant on them now and dependent on whether or not a game has modding capability. It's also the reason why some of my videos do well, is because they're mods. Like, sometimes the mods are so ridiculous and funny that you can't help but not click on the video that has them in there. Like, that's why I still do things like curse mods to this day, and that's also the reason why Left 4 Dead has lasted so long on my channel, is because of the modding capability. Without mods, it would be so hard to make modern Left 4 Dead content. So, the Nightmare mod, like, that would definitely be something fun. The old me would probably be shocked to learn about the difficulty mod, and the fact that I've even completed some of those, because, like, my god, those mods are ridiculously difficult. It makes Back 4 Blood's Nightmare mode, or No Hope mode, look like a cakewalk. The mods that I have found over the years, anywhere from the simple ones, like the cosmetic, to the extremes like Nightmare or the difficulty mods, he probably would be overwhelmed, honestly. And then, honestly, in terms of how the old me would interpret taking a step back, he probably would both understand and not understand. This is why I say this, is because the old me, because he's in a time capsule, he can't go past 2020, would probably be like, why are you walking away from something that has worked for you? And why are you walking away from that success? And it's not necessarily that I'm walking away from it, it's just that I don't want that success to be turned into something that eventually works against me. Does that make sense? The reason why I feel like Left 4 Dead works for me is because, well, works and worked past tense as well, is because the passion and the always striving to make it work was there. Now creatively, I have met what I feel like is my ceiling, even if it might be temporary. I don't necessarily know whether or not that I'll be back in a few months or a few years or at all with Left 4 Dead. I just know what ebbs and flows, and there's some days I'm feeling it more than others where I'm more creative and sometimes I'm not. And for Left 4 Dead right now, I really don't feel like that I have the creative juice to go beyond the next few months. I've done, I feel like, quite a lot, and I'm proud of what I've done, and I feel like that logistically speaking, that the old me or the past tense me could understand and appreciate that, but would probably be afraid on the behalf of me just because of the idea of the unknown. Because, well, the unknown is just scary. I feel like I'll be okay. I definitely understand that there's going to be a lot of a learning curve to trying to make Minecraft and COD work long-term, because I do understand that when I initially had swapped over from Left 4 Dead to COD, it worked, but it also, at the same time, my views were starting to go significantly down because I was essentially starting over with basically making a second audience. Because the overlap with COD and Left 4 Dead was there, but not nearly as much as I was counting on it. And so my views went from a few hundred to, like, I'd say, like, around, like, 1,000 down to, like, a singular 100, which was around the level when I first started making Left 4 Dead content, which is why I compared to, like, essentially starting over. If I were to do that, I feel like, again, now there'd probably be a little bit more overlap because my audience pool is bigger, which means that by a process of elimination, I have more of an audience in general. And I look at my statistics, can see in my analytics that how many of you guys watch all my videos, how many of you guys watch only some of my videos, and how many of you guys watch, like, only a very few niche videos of mine, like one series or maybe like one type of game, and then just the new viewers I accumulate. I can make an educated guess on how many I'm going to keep once I eventually stop uploading Left 4 Dead, and that's 100% fine. I feel like it's unrealistic to assume every one of your subscribers will watch every single one of your videos, because by that logic, somebody like PewDiePie, when he was still uploading regularly, with him having 100 million subscribers, he would get 100 million views every single video, and that's just not how that works. I think he only ever gets, like, barely a million now, and that's to put things into perspective that regardless of how many subscribers you have, things like upload schedule, the games that you upload, stuff like that, that's always going to be in play for your audience. And I understand and I appreciate that. So I feel like the younger me would understand, but would still be a little bit both intimidated and excited for the future, because I feel like there's a chance that regardless of whether or not that Left 4 Dead ever comes back, that the new things that I do could honestly end up working out just as good, if not better, for me. I wouldn't know if whether or not that Minecraft or COD could eventually be just as good or overtake Left 4 Dead unless I give them a chance. And that's the thing, is that you have to be willing to move on, or know that you could move on. And I feel like that a lot of people just never take that risk. That's why a lot of YouTubers are essentially typecast, where they only play like one game, or at the very least they make an entire ass second channel to do their other hobbies, because their algorithm has an audience that will only watch them for like one specific thing. And that's why I also made my second channels, because I know my algorithm, I know my audience only watches certain things, and I'm not going to try to force you guys to change. I'm going to try to end up doing it as gracefully as I can. So yeah, in summary, I feel like that the older me, well, in this case the younger me, but the older me in the past tense in terms of years, he probably would be very proud of where I came from to where I am now, be very impressed and surprised at the same time with the mod packs I've discovered over the years. And in terms of like taking a step back, he could probably respect it and probably wish me nothing but the best because, well, he's not going to know what's going to happen. I don't even know what's going to happen. But he probably would end up rooting for me because this time around, like I said, I know roughly what I'm doing, and I feel like the odds are more in my favor than they ever were, especially even in the run, like I said, 3 years ago when I was trying to do COD for the first time. I knew what was working and what wasn't working, so this time I'm going to try to be more proactive to try to contradict what wasn't working by avoiding those bad received videos and lean more into the good ones, and that's really all I can do at the end of the day. And yeah, guys, that has been the Q&A video, and I do truly hope that you all ended up enjoying, and if you did, once again, please consider dropping a like and subscribe if you are new. And yeah, guys, I really much appreciate you guys for submitting all your questions. I very much appreciate you guys, and I do invite you all to leave any additional questions here in the comment section down below. But yeah, guys, all that being said, I hope you ended up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTuber you guys are ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords, Jesus here, and you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too, and give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!